Welcome back everyone to Data Science for Everyone. Today we're going to be talking about R and Rstudio Cloud. Let's get started. So if you've already logged on to Rstudio Cloud, you can click the already a user icon here. If not, you can hit the sign up logo there. Since I already have an account, I'm going to go in and click this, and I'm going to just sign in with Google today. And again, this may take a minute for it to log in for you. Now, I have a couple projects already made here, but first off, we need to start up a new project. So click the new project icon here. And again, it will deploy a project and it'll create a workspace for you. This may take a few minutes depending on how your internet connection's doing. And I'm going to go on and start naming this, and I'm going to say something like R Basics. So, because we're gonna go over kind of all the parts, the moving parts of Rstudio and Rstudio Cloud today. So while we're looking at this, you can see here that there are places for cheat sheets here. There's new workspaces, your current workspace. You also have the ability to edit and change up some of your settings here. Okay, you can even create a shareable link for the project. And again, here you can change some authentication stuff. And so, for example, if sometimes I'll click and I'll hook up my GitHub account or something like that. So let's start out with talking about the basic kind of user interface that we have here. So this first section is over here, okay? And this is the console window. Now, this is basically where kind of R is going to be doing your bidding. As a general rule. Now we can also, this is where we can do all kinds of basic inline code. So for example, we can do something very simple here and do something like 1 + 1. Again, that's going to give us an output of 2. Again, we can do something like 1 to 11 here, and this will give us a series from 1 to 11. And so again, that's creating this series here. It starts with 1, goes up to and including, and then we use that separator as a colon. Now, again, R is a language, okay? So you can use this to write basic commands. Now, it will also do some interesting things here. It will prompt you for help. So for example, if I did something again like 4 plus, and then I hit enter, notice here that there's this little plus sign here, okay? It's asking me, it expects, again, after a plus sign, a minus sign, multiplication sign, all of those types of operations, it believes there's going to be another object there or another number. So we can, again, I can even hit enter again, and it's going to say, you still didn't complete anything. So I can put in here a 5, and then it'll give us the output of 9. Again, it's just waiting for it. Now I can even run this again, and let me clear the window really quickly. Oh, and just so you know, when I clear the window, I'm hitting Control L, and that is a hotkey to clear the console window. So we can do that again, and so let's do something like 10 minus. Notice here, it's still a plus sign here because that's just saying and. It's asking you for something else. Okay, so again, I can do it again and again, and it'll still go, and I'll just add -0 there. So you can type in a command, and again, if R doesn't recognize it, okay, it will pop out an error. So again, we can do something like 5, and this would be something that would work, for example, in Python, but it won't work here. Okay, this is the mod operator or a % here, and again, it does not see this, and it's going to give you an error. Again, it says here error, unexpected input, and again, it's going to give you whatever that input is. Once you get the hang of the command line, okay, you can do all kinds of things. So again, you can do something like 4 by 8, okay, will give us 32. You can even do little higher level operations. So something like 4 divided by 2 plus 1. Okay, and then again, here it's going to give it out in a decimal form. Now, if you've noticed something here, there's this like 1 parentheses object here, and there's also this little cursor here, this little greater than sign. Now, this is going to make your code easier to read, and again, paste it if you want to use it in the console. Now, we also have this special character, okay? So, and this hashtag here. R uses this in a special way. It's not going to follow anything. It's not going to run anything that is after a hashtag. So, for example, we do 4 plus 54, and I run it. It's not going to do anything. This here is a comment, okay? And this is, again, so this is going to be a single line comment. Now, a lot of the times though, a single hashtag on its own is going to be one comment, but again, there's also a normal thing sometimes when we're displaying results, you'll see this double hashtag as well. And again, I'll avoid kind of dealing with this little area here. This is kind of the carrot. This is just the starter area for where the code input is going to be. So again, here you can see we started up here, we started here, then we're here again. Now you can also cancel commands, and this is something that I won't really talk about a whole lot right now, but if we start to get into trouble later on, you can hit Command or Control C, and it will specifically Control C, and it will cancel any operation that you're doing. So if you ever if you feel like your console is stuck, hit Command C, and it will stop it for you. So let's maybe start going and talking a little bit about our objects. So again, now that we're kind of working with this, I've already shown you this sequence operator. Okay, so something like 2 to 20 will give us everything from 2 all the way up to 20. Now this operator, okay, is resulting in a vector. This is actually a vector object, and it's a one-dimensional set of numbers. And again, here you see that our output is displayed by this bracketing 1 notation. Now, again, what this is actually doing is, think about it more as generating a vector, okay, of numbers that we see. But it didn't save this vector anywhere in our computer memory. All right, it just created an output. And so again, if we're looking for like the basic footprints of some numbers or the existence of some of them, it's going to be melted back into our computer's RAM and just kind of gone. Now we can create an R object that is. So for example, if I have the letter A and I use this assignment operator, okay, so a lot of times the assignment operator is using an equal sign. It is not in R. It's this little less than minus sign, or we usually just call it an arrow, okay? And this is the assignment operator. So I want to put 4 into A. Notice here, there's no output, okay? Now if I hit A and hit enter, we have this output of 4. Now we can do other things with that. We can do 4 or A plus 5, and our output is going to be 9. So we can interact with that object. So what just happened here? Okay, what happened when we did this whole sequence here? So we created an art object and we chose a name for that object. Okay, now we use this less than sign followed by the minus sign, or this arrow function here, or this arrow, this assignment operator, and we gave it a name of A to store in the number 4. Now, when you ask R what is in A, okay, well, R is going to tell you that on the next line. So that's our next line here, is it's telling us that it is 4. Now you can also add in new R commands too, okay? So again, we had the previously stored value of A and we wanted to add 5 to it. So then it's going to say, all right, I'm going to grab A's value, which is 4, and then I'm going to add 5 to it and then display the output of 9. Now we can also do something just like we did here with this. So let's say that we wanted to create a vector to represent a die. And so that would be 1 through 6. So now if we look at the die here, we have a die that has numbers 1 through 6. Now, if you were paying attention to all the screen, you would notice that there was something happening over here, okay, right here in this environment pane. Okay, now this environment pane keeps track of all of the R objects that you created. We created a a object, and we also created a die object. So again, anytime that we use this arrow syntax here, we are going to be creating an R object, and those values are displayed here. Okay, and you can see that this is values. Again, because they are either numerical, or they're going to be a string, or they're going to be a vector or an integer. Again, here it's telling us it's an integer vector. Now, we can also access them. This is just telling us these are also our global environment variables. Now, there is something that we need to talk about when we're talking about these values and these object names. Okay, they do have some kind of rules that we need to follow. All right, so their naming conventions always needs to start with a letter or a period. So a letter or a period. So let's call this, let's just call it var. And I'm going to name this a string object here and call it a variable name. Okay, now we can also have here, we can make them all capitals. And I'm just going to say another variable name. Now we can also use something that's called snake case. So my underscore var underscore name. And so I'm just going to put in 5 here. Oops, and I did something incorrect, but it did work. Okay, now there is, notice here I made this var object, and my Python is leaking a little bit. Okay, it did create an object for us because Rstudio and R are kind of trying to help us out, and we know that this happens a lot, so they're trying to help us, but that there is a tendency for that to backfire on us when we do this. So this is a big no-no, okay? Because if you're trying to, sometimes this type of an assignment here will not work, okay? Particularly when you're using it inside of functions or something else, it will backfire. So make sure that you actually keep everything in the proper order. So let me clear that and say my var name, and then again, our arrow, and I'm going to put that back as to 5. Now, another one is a camel case. Oh, and actually, just so we know this is snake case. Okay. Use underscores for snake case. Now we have camel case. So you can see here, again, anytime that you have a new word inside of that, you give it a capital C or a capital letter, and I'll say variable, camel case variable name. So, and I'll just put in 0 in there. Now another one, again, is you can do something like a dot and var, and again, I'll just put in 4 here. Notice all of these are displayed inside of our environment. Okay, now notice something else though. This period one did not show up. Okay, sometimes when you put a period in front, yes, it may look like a good name, but it can also hide the variable name here for you. Okay, so again, no matter how you're looking for it, you're not going to be able to find it in here. So that is something that you need to be wary of. Okay, I would very much suggest you don't use this dot format in here because it does have a tendency to cause some errors. Now, if we tried, for example, to put in a number var and then tried to put something in here, notice we're going to get an error, okay? Because again, having a number at the beginning is a no-go. Same thing with a lot of special characters, okay? So you can't put in, for example, a caret. Okay, that doesn't work. You can't put in an exclamation point. This is bad. Okay, again, you're going to get error for all of these because again, it is trying to do something with all of these. Now also, as you have seen, okay, and I'll just give one more example here, var yet another variable. Whoops, I misspelled that, but you can see here we have var with all lowercase, we have var with one uppercase, and we have var with all uppercase. Notice each of these are unique in their own way. So you will get different things. They are case sensitive. Okay, so please make sure you do that. Now, another thing that you can do, again, this is looking at our environment window, but sometimes if you want to see everything, you can use this ls function. Okay, and this will also give you everything. Again, though, notice that dot variable is not there. So, but again, I can call that dot var and run it, and it is for, but that dot in front of it hides it. Okay, it kind of makes it a little bit of a secret in there. And again, I would really suggest that you don't use that. Okay, let me clear the output again, and let's go back to our die example. Now, notice here we have die, and it is a numeric or an integer vector with 6 numbers in it. We can also do something like die minus 2. And notice what it does. It does this subtraction to all items inside of the vector. Okay, so think about this as some scalar in that way. Okay, we can also do something like die divided by 2. We can do die multiplied by die. Okay, and again, it does everything inside of there. Now, this is great, okay? But this, for some of you out there, you're going to say, well, that doesn't really, it really shouldn't work like that, right, Dr. Reed? Okay, because again, here, you're multiplying 2 vectors. So you would say, well, isn't that linear algebra, and shouldn't we be doing something a little bit different? Well, that is absolutely correct, okay? Now, when we use just the multiplication symbol in here, it will just multiply across vertically. So 1 multiplied by 1, 2 multiplied by 2, 3 multiplied by 3, 4 multiplied by 4, etc. However, if you want to do this and you want it to be in the proper matrix type format and matrix multiplication, okay, you can do a couple different things, all right? Now, you can do inner multiplication. So die, and then we do this mod die, and this is, again, inner multiplication, okay? So this should give us 91, okay? A singular unit in there. Now, we should also be able to do O die, okay? And this is the outer multiplication operator. So here we actually get the thing about this is more of a vector or matrix multiplication. Okay, now you can do all kinds of things such as transpose the matrix, get the determinant of the matrix as well, and we'll probably save that for later on in the series when we start talking more about linear algebra and other types of formulas. Now, the next thing we should probably talk about is using functions. Again, I've already showed you guys a little bit of the functions using the ls function, but there are a lot of other functions. So functions, again, are something that you have kind of a standalone word that is special, okay? So here I'm using round, and if you look here, Rstudio pops up and gives me something like it'll take some digit, it's some number, okay? And then it will give me the number of digits I want to round it to. Now, if I did something like 2 point, no, I want something a little bit better. So do 3.415. Okay, let's do pi. Now I tell it to round, and notice here, this is doing a ceiling here, okay? It's just saying, all right, I'm rounding all the way up to the whole number. Now, if I wanted to go and do something like comma 2, it'll round to 2 digits for me. Now, if I did this and I did it to 3 digits, here we actually do get it to round up for us, okay? Now you can also do something like factorials. So factorial of 5 is going to give us 120. We can also do a couple others. So let's do the mean of our 6-sided die, and that gives us 3.5. Again, we can also throw in the variable in there because what this is meaning is, so if I do mean here, and look, what this is telling us is that this takes an argument. Okay, and again, it also gives us an additional information of, again, this is a generic function with the trimmed arithmetic mean. And again, you can also press F1 to get additional help, and we'll talk about getting help here in just a minute. But let's do one more, and we can throw in die. Remember, die itself is exactly the same as this, so these should look exactly identical. Now, another fantastic thing that we can do is add in round, the mean, and then die. Notice here, it gives us 4 because it's rounding up from 3.5. So you can do all kinds of things, all right, to do the same thing, to get the same answer. Now let's move on, and we'll spend more time on functions later on. But what I'd like to also start to talk about a little bit is talking about scripts. So notice here we have kind of 3 window panes. We also have a file pane here, and we'll talk about this in just a little while. But I would like to talk about the scripts next. So if you go up and there's this little plus sign here, or you can hit Shift Control N, but this will create a new script object, okay? So if you wanted, or you can also, again, let me do it this way. You can do File, New File, R Script. Okay, and this will give you a script file in here. Now, there are a couple things that you need to pay a little bit of attention to. There is the Run button here. Okay, and this will run the current line or selection. And then there's also Source here. And again, you can tell it whether you want it to run the whole source file, or whether you want it to again save it as a local job or something else. Now, let's actually maybe go through and create something really quickly so you can kind of see how this works. I'm not going to discuss this a whole lot, but let's say we want to do something like x is 10. No, you know what? X is 1, Y is 5, and then we are going to do, you know what? No, we're just going to stay with our previous answer. So I'm going to say new die, and I'll say that this is let's just say a 20-sided die. We're going to have a big die. And then we want to have the mean here of the new die. This is kind of using everything that we've had so far. Now we want to save it, okay, and do something like new die script.r. And again, that R in here is to notate that it is an R script. Now I can have it run. And again, notice it didn't actually do anything for me, but I can have it run each line individually. When I run the source, it's not doing anything for me. Okay, but if I tell it to run and then run, notice down here in the console, it runs each line individually. I can also highlight the whole thing and run, and this will run everything again down below. And you can see here that it created a new die variable. Now, let's also go about and maybe do one more example here. Okay, so we can do something like print hello. We'll add another line to it. Now you can also hit Control Enter. That's what I did right there, or Command Enter. Or again, highlight the whole thing and Control Enter, and it will run everything again. And notice here it prints it out. Now overall, what we have covered right now is we're just basically laying the groundwork for the really fundamentals of R. Now it's great to actually kind of get a little bit of a handle on all of this. Now let's move on to the last section that we kind of haven't covered yet, and that's packages. Now, first off, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. You can see this little packages tab down in this file window, plots, the plot file, and the packages themselves. We also have the viewer as well as more help. So again, if you guys ever need any help on this, click the help and notice it has links to almost everything. Introductions to R, writing R extensions, importing data, Rstudio IDE help, all kinds of stuff. Now again, if you ever really need help, click this help button and look here, cheat sheets. These cheat sheets are amazing. Okay, so I can just click on one, and this is an Rstudio cheat sheet. I'm just going to tell it to download. And notice here, instantly it downloads this fantastic cheat sheet for you that has all of the hot links that you could ever possibly need. And again, that has it for all of the major tidyverse functions, and for example, even Sparkly R Markdown reference guides. And throughout this series, we will be covering almost all of these We may even get into some package development by the end of the series, which would be fun. If you guys are interested in that, let me know. Now let's start off by talking about packages. Okay, I'm going to close that so then I have this whole console window open, and I'm going to clear this as well. Again, clearing that is with Control L. Now packages, okay, we have to install packages before we use them, and we use that with the install packages function. Now I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Maybe some of you don't know what a package is. Okay, so again, packages are basically, we used functions before, okay, but packages are a little bit more interesting. You can think about them as a way to contain and replicate all of your functions, and you can keep them all together. They're designed by programmers and professors such as myself, statisticians, to help people analyze data. Now, they're free to use tools that anyone can use them. And again, you can also pre-assemble collections of functions or objects for something that is called a package. And so for now, we're going to do something like install packages, and here I'll do something like tidyverse. Okay, and so this is how we're going to install things, and it will take a minute because, again, for example, install.packages tidyverse. Tidyverse is actually a collection of packages that are used a lot in data science. Now, when we use this install package, again, you can see here that it's starting to grab things such as from this little library home here. And this is, our packages are hosted on cran.rproject.org. And this is a website that hosts R, basically, all right? Now, however, you don't have to visit the package site to download anything. You can use this install.packages function to install things. And also there are ways, a lot of people put their own packages on GitHub or anything else. Now, once this package is done installing, okay, we're able to access it using the library function. And again, this may take a minute. Again, this is a large package, but we will predominantly be using the tidyverse throughout this series as well. So it's kind of nice for you guys at least to see all the packages that it does create. So again, let it finish its settings, and I may speed this up a little bit to make sure that we don't kill a lot of time here. Okay, it's finally done installing. So now let's talk about how we actually access that library. So I'm going to clear the console again. Now to get a hold of the package, we do, again, so I installed the tidyverse. Now if I just try and use the tidyverse like this, it's going to give me an error, object tidyverse not found. Now the way that I can get a hold of that package is library, and then and again, we do this as a string, tidyverse, and run. Now this will actually spit out a lot of stuff, and it actually gives us this information, is that inside of this one package we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 other functions, and there are some conflicts, okay? These don't worry about them a whole lot, okay, about the conflicts, because as we go through the course, we will discuss what this means. Now let's kind of go through and maybe look at what we could use this for. Let's also maybe try another package really quickly, okay? Let's do something like install.packages, and you can actually create and use hold on, let me clear this, and you can do this. This is actually you can think about it as a list or a column or a vector. So here I can put something like my packages. And so I want to maybe get 2 packages. So qplot and I don't know, let's do tidy text. So I'm saving those, and then I can do install packages, and then I can actually put in my packages and run. And this will also install both of these 2 these two packages as well. And again, this will take a minute, and so I will speed things up and we'll be right back. Okay, we're back. I sped up the process so that you guys didn't have to wait around for it. So both of those packages actually installed. So let me clear things and let's actually do library qplot. Whoops, did it not install here? It's okay. We won't worry about it a whole lot. Let's actually go on and use a different library that we already had. So let's do library. Oh, you know what? I actually did the tidyverse, so we'll just make sure and just do the tidyverse again, just to make sure. Yep. Okay. So notice I ran this again, and nothing actually spat out that there was an error. Okay. So we can look at. We'll use the qplot, and again, this is from the ggplot2 package. And again, we saw that list whenever we imported the tidyverse for the first time. So let's actually go about and create an x variable here, and let's do something like 1 through 100. And let's create a y variable here, which is going to be a function of x. So let's say x to the third. Now, if we do something like qplot x, y, and run that, notice over here now, in the plot section, let it reshape for a second. There it is. Okay, so let me also zoom in. No, I don't want that. We'll just do this. So you can see here that it is 1 through, oh, you know what? I can do this actually. There we go. So we can see the whole thing here. This actually plotted out for us our x variable, our y variable, and our 100 items here. And you can see that this is, again, in that functional form that we used. Now, we used here the console in order to run this piece of code, and it created the output here in the plots output window. We can do other types of items as well, but let's maybe do one more here, and we can do something. If we just do a singular qplot, and let's just do x, and then we do bin width here, and let's just say of 1. Notice it's huge. Okay. Let's do something like we can change this up. Now, if you guys hit the up arrow and do this and do something like the bin width of 5 and run it, again, it gives us 5 bins, but let's do this one more time and say something like 50 bins here. And then we see here again, it's a little bit more clear cut. And again, this is because, again, I just did a sequence. Now, let's see here about anything else here. Okay, so getting help. All right, so if I do something like help, and then I do something like qplot and run this, it actually brings up inside of the help window the help for quick plot. Okay, and that's what qplot is here. It's just a quick plotting algorithm from ggplot. So that allows us to look at all kinds of things inside of the help window. It gives us a description of the function. Okay, and again, it says it's a shortcut designed to be familiar if you used the base plot R. It gives us a description. It gives us an example usage. And then it talks about each of the arguments for the function. So again, it takes these x and y aesthetics, and it also allows us to use data frames, facets, margins, geoms. Again, we will talk about this more, and we have talked about it in past videos as well. Another thing that we can do is use this double question mark, and let's say that you want to look at the mean. Okay, so what this does is this actually grabs up anything that would potentially have the mean in it for its search function. Let's say we can also do something like, let's search the log. Log. Okay, and it finds all kinds of things like dialogues. Let's also do a double question mark, and let's do quick plot. Notice it also does quick plot, and it searches everywhere inside of there. Okay, we can even look at the sample function as well as with a single question mark and do something like mean. Now this gives us a single question mark isn't a search, okay? A single question mark takes us very similarly to how if we use the help function to look for our function help signs. And again here, mean, generic function for a trained arithmetic mean. It gives its usage, the arguments, and then values, as well as other examples of its usage down here. And again, if you guys ever need more help, one of your best friends is Google. Okay, you guys can Google almost anything and type just R, and again, it will pop up. So I'm going to leave this here. If you guys like this, please comment, subscribe, and let us know how we're doing, and if there's anything else you guys want to know. Thanks again. Bye-bye.